Today, in Draw My Life, My Bloody Little Pony. My Little Pony franchise not only appealed to little girls, but has a drawn cult of following teenagers, self-proclaimed geeks and bronies, and even adults that remember the TV series dating back to the 1980s. But many of their fans don't know the dark stories behind these cute little animals.
Rarity woke up in Celestia's dungeon. She was still in shock. She knew she was guilty, even though she had never meant to hurt anyone. She knew she had done terrible things, and now she would have to pay for them. She could blame Sweetie for her betrayal, but it wouldn't be fair. Her madness began after an incident with her beloved cat, Opal. The cat wanted to play and scratched her owner's face several times. Rarity lost it, threw Opal against the wall, and killed her. She then began to have mixed feelings. She felt terribly sad that she had killed her pet, but at the same time, she felt a certain satisfaction. From that moment on, she began to suffer from insomnia. She spent her nights talking about her feelings in front of a camera. A few days later, she began to make a doll, Pinkamena. She would then make her out of Opal's skin and control her mind. It would be her new pet. But the shady part came later. When the doll was fully finished, Rarity stopped leaving the house. Her friends would come to visit her, but she despised them. One day, her little sister, Sweetie, came home. Rarity was out of her mind. Sweetie Belle tried to give her love, but this made her angrier. Rarity took a baseball bat and hit Sweetie. She then went to get a rope, a knife, and her camera. She turned it on to record while she tied her up. Then, with the knife, began to cut her skin. She laughed while her little sister cried. Her screams didn't stop her until the doorbell rang. It was Twilight. She would never understand. That's why she hit her as soon as she stepped into the house. As night fell, Rarity had her two best friends lying on the floor of their home, surrounded by a pool of blood. When they woke up, Rarity told them that some thieves had broken into their house and assaulted them. After this incident, she continued to harm other ponies. She mutilated them with all kinds of tools: chainsaws, hammers, knives. However, one day her pleasure came to an end. Rarity was captured and locked up in the village dungeon, where she got beaten and humiliated. One day she fell asleep wishing not to wake up. However, Rarity opened her eyes in the middle of the night. To her surprise, she didn't feel the icy stone of the dungeon, and her wounds no longer hurt. She noticed that she was lying on a bed and wasn't chained either. She recognized that the bedroom was hers, but how had she gotten there? She felt her face and noticed that the cuts were still there. Rarity looked around and found the camera. She felt that someone was spying on her. She left the room. The house was different. Lots and lots of candles lit the hallways. She was relieved to see Pinkamena standing by the front door, but it was open. When she reached for her doll, it was dragged out of the house by an invisible force. Then the door slammed shut. Rarity was shocked and looking everywhere. She realized in horror that her camera had been following her. She rushed out in anguish to get Pinkamena. On the street, he bumped into Blue Blood. His face was more serious than usual. The road was completely dark. It was night. But the moon? The stars? What was going on? Blue Blood ignored all of Rarity's questions. They walked until they reached the school. At the door, they saw something moving. It was Pinkamena, but a silhouette dragged her inside the building. Rarity ran after it. The school was completely empty. There was no sign of Pinkamena or her kidnapper. So Rarity went into Sweetie's classroom and reached her little sister's desk. There, she found a family photo with some strange cuts on Sweetie's figure. She opened the desk and saw her knife. She looked behind her. There was the camera. He went out with Blue Blood. In the middle of an alley, they saw Pinkamena again just before she got dragged into Velvet's store. Rarity went inside without thinking it through, but Pinkamena had disappeared again. There was only one ticket there. It was from the purchase of all of her knives. Rarity then felt a chill run through her body and looked up. She found the camera. She ran off until she reached Blue Blood. Rarity told him her fear. She confessed that she had done terrible things of which she wasn't proud, but an inner strength compelled her to do them. Now she felt that she was being spied on and that someone was laughing at her. Blue Blood did not answer her. They had arrived at Twilight's house. What was this all about? Was it a mission? Was Blue Blood her guide? Who was behind it? Maybe the evil Discord? All these questions were piling up in Rarity's head without letting her breathe. Rarity walked into the house alone. On her way to the library, she found some bloody bandages. They were the ones she had put on Twilight when she attacked her pretending it had been some thieves. Rarity got sad remembering the sly, and a tear ran down her cheeks. She looked up and the camera again. She took the courage and confronted it. Are you surprised to only find tears? She then went out into the street. This time, Blue Blood wasn't waiting for her, so she decided to go home. When she arrived, everything was still the same, until she went upstairs to her room and found a horrific scene. Opal's severe head on her bed. This made her remember that she manipulated him with her magic until he hanged him. Rarity wept bitterly until she suddenly felt Pinkamena's warm arms around her, and everything went dark. In the palace of the village, Celestia and Twilight were arguing about Rarity's future. They wanted to prove that it wasn't fair for her to go to jail, as they were convinced that someone was manipulating her. They knew Pinkamena had all the answers, but her whereabouts were still a mystery. Did you know the terrible story of Little Miss Rarity? We thought it was a bit too shady.
Warning! Your view on ponies is likely to change after you've done watching this video. One day, Pinkamena, a psychopath hiding under the sweet appearance and named of Pinky, invited Rainbow to play at her house. Rainbow was loyal and loved to play with her friends. When she arrived at Pinky's house, Pinky told her they would make cupcakes. Rainbow agreed even though she wanted to play outdoors. Before she started cooking, Pinky gave Rainbow a cupcake she had baked earlier. Rainbow ate it gratefully. With a full stomach, she asked Pinky where to start. Pinky said they were going to take a nap first. Rainbow looked at her strangely. A second later, she began to feel dizzy and fell to the ground with a thud. When Rainbow woke up, she found herself tied up in a dark place. The room smelled of steel and blood. Suddenly, a spotlight shined on her friend Pinky. Rainbow laughed when she saw her and said, "This is the best joke you've ever played, Pinky. Call me Pinkamena. And I'm not kidding. It's just that I've run out of the main ingredients for my cupcakes. And I'm going to have to use you so that my recipe doesn't lose its essence," Pinky replied. "What are you talking about, Pinky?" "I'm glad you think it's so funny. Not everyone usually takes it as well." Rainbow got serious. "All of them?" At that moment, Pinkamena turned on the light in the room, revealing the dissected bodies of other ponies. In addition, the killer was wearing a costume made of the skins of other ponies. Rainbow threw up when she saw this atrocious scene. "See? You are neither the first nor the last." At that moment, Pinkamena approached her with a trolley full of knives and saws. But Pinky, we're friends. Forgive me if I've done something that upset you. I won't do it again. Please forgive me. Pinkamena! Relax, Rainbow. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just that it's your turn. Then she began to drill in her ear with a chainsaw. Pinkamena started sawing Rainbow's skin. First the legs, and then the whole body. Rainbow let out a heartbreaking scream. However, despite the intense pain, she didn't faint. After the first successful round, Pinkamena moved on to her favorite torture, placing burning nails between the hubs. Rainbow did get unconscious a couple of times. To avoid this, Pinkamena injected adrenaline into her heart, making her wake up all of a sudden. Pinkamena then numbed her from the thorax down and began to pull out her guts. Rainbow didn't feel the pain, but by looking at her entrails, she got to the edge of a cardiac arrest. Pinkamena approached her with a scalpel and said, "Rainbow, you disappoint me. I was hoping you would last longer alive. I'll miss you." Then she slit her throat. Rainbow died instantly. When she had the head detached, she tore the skin of her face and put it on her. Then she washed her friend's corpse, sewed it, and dissected it to keep it next to her. Satisfied with her work, she promised to do the same to the rest of her friends. Do you still see the creatures as you used to? Which one of these two scare you the most? Let us know in the comments what you would like to see in the next one. And hasta la vista, baby!